Hey everybody, it's James, Father's Rights and Resources, hashtag how I got custody. I'm going to talk about, this is another part of my series, James versus somebody who's at the forefront of parents' rights and fathers' rights issues and who's usually full of crap. This one is about James versus Judge Anthony. Now, Judge Anthony may have a decent motive behind trying to help people. I don't know. I can't read the dude's mind. All I know is that his track record isn't so great. And he hangs his hat on being a family law attorney for 20 years, which means he was part of the corrupt system that destroyed families and trafficked children. So that's not something to brag about. And as you'll see in his own words in this video, he says that he stopped becoming a judge when he went through his own divorce, and he didn't realize how painful divorce was until he went through it himself. And he didn't even have that bad a divorce. I'll bet you he stepped down because he couldn't stand the fact that he's destroying families from the bench. That's just my guess, though. So let's take a look at what he says. And this guy will charge you $750 an hour for a one-on-one consult. It used to be $600, which was crazy. Somebody told me it's $750 now. You can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I think he has a curriculum or a class for a few $100. Still way more expensive than talking to me. And you'll see him on TikTok, maybe Instagram, dancing around when he gets a testimonial from somebody, which doesn't seem much more frequent than me, which makes it sound crazy because he's got thousands and thousands of followers, way more followers than I do. And he seems to get testimonials about the same amount that I do. So, you know, I've went through the battle. I've won without an attorney. I'm talking to people how to do this without an attorney. And it seems like he's kind of working with the assumption of, he helps people who are pro se and teaches them how to do that. But there's some things that he does say that's true. There's some things that he says that are really stupid. That makes me not like him personally, his personal politics and outlook on stuff. But I also disagree with some of the legal strategies that he has. But no, that's not a huge difference. The one thing you want to think about is, if we're about to watch his own, what I just said is what he says himself. We're about to watch that in a second. Think about it. This guy's basically talking about how corrupt the system is and how crazy a crazy person can abuse the court system against you. What is he doing about it? You would think with his pull as a previous attorney and a judge, he would be doing something about it, but he's not, because he doesn't care that much about it. He doesn't really care that much. He wants to help people individually. But somebody who is part of the system, going back to the system and say, we got to fix this and change this and do something about it. And he goes to the judicial seminars, because retired judges will go back to these judicial seminars. And there's judges in the audience and they say, tell the man, forget his constitutional rights. Screw him. You're out of here, buddy. Goodbye, sayonara, when they're talking about protection orders. Screw your constitutional rights. There's been seminars where judges have been quoted doing that. You know, when the judges go off on seminars, the attorneys go off on, the Bar Association has a celebration of attorneys who have 30 years experience or 40 or 50 years experience, and they have a luncheon, and all they do is just have, they get each other sexually aroused over worshiping each other, how great everybody is. It's a small clique of people who destroy people's lives, and they get together and they worship each other for it. There's one judge I've liked in my history of doing this stuff. And there's a couple stories that I personally dealt with. Actually, there's two. And then there's only like 3 attorneys I've liked in 20 years, 23 years of doing this. And then I've heard stories about a few different attorneys across the country and judges that some people... So really, I can count on 2 hands the number of people in the system that are decent. And these guys sit around and just kind of gloat and worship each other. Kind of like in some villainous movie where a team of villains get together and gloat about how great they are, But let's take a look at what Judge Anthony says about himself, and this is why I'm not really down with the guy for the most part. So here's Judge Anthony's page. Let's take a look at his main video and listen real quick.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Judge Anthony. I've been a family law attorney for over 20 years, and I served 5 years on the bench.
So he's been a family law attorney for 20 years, which means he was a sellout, subhuman piece of garbage who trafficked children in the family court system. The odds are there's a 99% chance that's what he did, because that's what they all do. Let's keep listening.
As judge. In 2020, I left the bench in the middle of my term to open Judge Anthony Consulting at judgeanthony.com, where I consult with people all around the world who are involved in high conflict divorce and child custody battles involving narcissists.
Now notice that he quit his job as a judge halfway through his term as a judge. Okay? So he's basically saying, I'm done with this. A lot of judges get in there and they love their job and they're in charge and it's really cush and plush. And so he's saying, I didn't want to do that anymore. There must be a major reason why he didn't want to do that anymore. So let's keep listening.
You're probably wondering, why the heck did this guy leave the bench to start consulting with people? Well, the answer is very simple. You see, in 2017, I went through my own divorce. And with 3 sons, I understand, or at least began to understand, just how difficult the situation is that the people I've worked with go through. You know, as a lawyer.
So he didn't realize how bad it was before. And now he's quitting being a judge. To me, that must mean, man, the court system is totally corrupt and I was part of it. I don't want to be part of it. So he did get a conscience. I mean, that's the only take I can get from this.
Lawyer, I always did my best to fight for my client, to get a good result for my client.
Yeah, sure you did.
In fact, I've been
to get a good result like every other weekend for a dad. You said, oh, you can't get 50-50. You can't get full custody.
Involved personally in hundreds of divorce and child custody cases. But I tell you what, I never really understood just how painful and how devastating the situation can be until I went through a divorce myself.
See, this is why you got to go into court and you have to persuade a judge how bad this stuff is. They have no clue how painful and what you're going through. So when somebody falsely accuses you of stuff, you got to put on a show in court to get them to believe you. A lot of you guys go in there with no self-awareness. You're thinking, oh, I feel all this pain. Let me tell them it hurts. And they're saying it doesn't hurt that bad. You're like a little kid who fell down and got an owie and dad says, okay, go out and play now. And you're like, no, it hurts way worse. These people have no idea how bad it hurts. So some of you guys need to grow some balls and put some more effort into this stuff and try and convince a judge, like, look, Your Honor, what if somebody lied about you? What if somebody told a story about you that wasn't true? You would hate it. Now, what if the lie got your kids and your livelihood and your home taken away from you? You have to paint a picture for these people so they get it. If you don't do that, then there's something wrong with you, because you have to have normal human common sense to say, hey, look, this is a total stranger. They don't know what I'm going through. I have to persuade them what I'm going through. Like, you'll go into court and not say jack squat about your case, except going through the motions. Then you'll go tell your family and friends all the pain and suffering you're going through, and you'll convince them how bad you're going through. But why don't you do it when it counts in court? Stop being stupid.
Now, my divorce wasn't as crazy as many of them. It was actually fairly docile as far as divorces go, but still, it was a devastating situation, and it took a toll on myself. I'm sure it took a toll on my ex, and it definitely took a toll on my children. So while I was on the bench, I started thinking, how can I help more people, not just the people in my, small geographic area, but how can I help people, all around the world who are going through this, who really have no idea, what to do to expose a narcissist or to get the result that they want.
So maybe he had good intentions. But why doesn't he try and change the system that's corrupt instead of escape and then have his small little band of followers, a few people here and there around the world, and I'm going to help them? He either realized I can make a lot more money helping people out there because all these people are totally lost, like Goldberg and Jones from Seattle does. Like, oh, there's so many dads who are lost. Let's say our moniker is Divorced for Men, and we'll get all these guys coming through our revolving door.
In a high conflict divorce, many of the people that I consult with have lawyers, and that's great. Many of them have great lawyers, but I offer a different perspective on their cases, and I can provide them with a strategy and a background.
So he's saying pay your lawyer and pay me $750 an hour. So I call BS on that stuff.